My name is Ethan, and this is my story. A story about love, pain, and staying. I was not looking for a perfect life, just a quiet one, simple and kind. A small apartment, a family dinner, a soft smile at the end of the day. That was enough for me, enough to make me feel rich and full. Claire was my fiancée, a nurse with gentle hands and a strong heart. She cared for people, listened to their stories, wiped their tears. She was not loud, not dramatic, but she was real, honest, beautiful. Every day with her felt like a calm song, soft, peaceful, warm. We were planning our wedding, nothing big, just family and friends. A white dress, simple flowers, a promise to walk together in life. We did not dream of castles or gold or fame, just each other. Love was not a fairy tale for us, it was a choice, every single day. We had small fights, silly arguments, moments of silence, but we always came back, sat together, talked, forgave, smiled. I used to tell her, love is not about winning, it's about staying. She would laugh, roll her eyes, but deep down, she knew it was true. Then, one evening, life changed, fast, sharp, without warning. Claire was coming home, tired after a long hospital shift. A car did not stop, did not see her, did not slow down. In 1 second, she was on the ground, her life turning upside down. The hospital became our new home. Cold walls, white lights, fear. Doctors came and went, serious faces, careful words, heavy news. Spinal injury, they said. She will not walk again, not ever. Those words hit hard, like cold water, freezing my heart in place. I walked into her room, saw her by the window, silent, still. She did not look at me, just stared outside, tears falling slow. She said softly, "Ethan, you are young. You have a life ahead." Her words were knives, polite knives, cutting with every letter. I do not want to keep you here, tied to a broken woman. Her voice was calm, but her heart was breaking. I could feel it. I took her hand, cold, shaking, and said, "I am not going anywhere." She did not believe me, not yet. But I said it again, louder, stronger. In the next days, she pushed me away, gently but clearly. She asked to end the engagement, said it was the right thing. I left her room that day, but I did not leave her life. Because love, real love, does not leave when things get hard. I came back the next morning, sat in the corner, just quiet. I read books, told her stories, shared my silly daily moments. Every smile she gave was a small victory, a piece of hope. I was not there out of duty. I was there out of love, pure and true. Her family was kind but worried. They told me to move on. My friends called me, said, "Ethan, think of your future, your dreams." But my dream was still sitting by that hospital window every day. I had made a promise to love, to stay, through all storms and suns. Some people love the idea of love, but not the work of it. For me, love was the work, the effort, the patience, the staying. Claire was not a burden. She was my choice, my heart, my home. and homes are not left when they need repairs, they are rebuilt. Day by day, her smile returned, small, shy, but real. She started to joke again, to laugh softly, to listen more. Her hands, once weak, held mine with a little more strength. Those small signs were big victories, reasons to hope and stay. One afternoon she asked me, "Why are you still here, Ethan?" I smiled, looked into her eyes, and said simply, "Because I love you." No poetry, no big speech, just truth, plain and simple, like us. She did not answer, but her eyes softened. Her heart heard me. Days turned into weeks, hospitals into routines, but I kept coming. Every morning, same chair, same smile, same hope in my heart. Claire stopped asking me to leave, but she stayed quiet, careful. I knew her silence was not anger, it was fear. Fear of losing me. She thought I would get tired, bored, fed up with her wheelchair. But love does not count legs or steps or how fast you walk. Love counts laughs, touches, moments of quiet understanding. And I was there, counting every second I spent by her side. Rehabilitation started, hard, slow, painful, full of small defeats. She cried often, in private, when she thought no one could see. But I saw her, every tear, every shake of her hands, every sigh. And every time I reminded her, I am here, I am not leaving. Some days were good, some days were heavy, some days felt endless. But we learned to celebrate little things, small wins, quiet joys. The first time she wheeled herself alone, we laughed and cried. It was not much to the world, but to us, it was everything, a miracle. She started to braid her hair again, to wear her favorite earrings. Those were signs, soft, gentle signs, that she was coming back. Not to the old Claire, but to a new one, stronger, braver, wiser. And I loved her more, not despite the pain, but because of it. People still asked me, why stay? Why choose this hard life? And every time I smiled, because they did not understand love. Love is not choosing the easy path. It is walking the hard one, with someone's hand in yours, no matter how slow, no matter how tough. One evening, after months of therapy, she called me to her side. She held my hand, looked into my eyes, serious, soft, a little scared. She said, "Ethan, I am not the same woman you fell in love with." I smiled and answered, "Good, because now you are even more amazing." She cried that night, not from sadness, but from relief, from peace. I held her close, felt her heartbeat, steady, brave, full of life. That was the night I knew she was ready to live again, with me. Not just survive, not just exist, but live, laugh, love, and dream. Slowly, she returned to work, part-time, helping people like her. Her wheelchair did not stop her. It became part of her strength. She gave hope to others, told them her story, listened to theirs. And every time, I watched her with pride, with awe, with deep love. We started new traditions, slow walks in the park, movie nights. She loved when I cooked, even if the kitchen looked like a war zone. We laughed at small things, cried at memories, dreamed new dreams. Life was not perfect, but it was ours, full of real, raw, beautiful moments. One Sunday, we visited the place where I had planned our wedding. It was quiet, empty, but it held our memories, our promises, our hopes. She held my hand tightly, her eyes shiny, her heart open once more. She whispered, "Maybe we can still have our wedding, our way." That simple sentence made my heart race, my hands shake, my soul fly. Because it meant she believed again in us, in love, in forever. I looked at her, smiled, and said, "We never needed a big party. All we need is you, me, and a promise to never let go no matter what." A few weeks later, I brought her a small box, nothing fancy, just ours. Inside was the same ring, the same symbol, but a new meaning now. I had added a tiny engraving, words we lived by. Love stays. She opened it, smiled through tears, and said, "Yes, Ethan, I do." Our wedding was simple, small, filled with people who knew our story. She wore a beautiful dress, sitting with grace, shining with courage. I stood beside her, proud, honored, deeply thankful to call her mine. Together we said our vows, not of perfection, but of presence, of staying. That day I did not marry the woman who once walked beside me. I married the woman who taught me what real strength looks like. Her wheels did not define her, her spirit did, her endless, brave spirit. And I knew with all my heart I would choose her again, every time. After the wedding, life was different, not perfect, but deeply real. We built a home, not big, not fancy, but full of light and laughter. Every morning I made her coffee, extra sweet, just how she likes. She always smiled, saying, "Sweet coffee for a sweeter life." Claire returned to work more often, helping others, inspiring hope. People listened to her story, saw her strength, felt her kindness. She became a lighthouse for many, showing them a new way. Every evening she came home tired, but her eyes were shining. Our days were simple but filled with meaning, full of small joys. We cooked together, even if I made a mess. She never complained. We watched old movies, held hands, and shared quiet moments. Love grew stronger, not loud, but steady, like a soft, warm song. Some days were harder. Her body would hurt. Her energy would fade. But we faced those days together, with patience, with gentle love. I learned how to lift her, not just with my arms, but with my heart. She learned how to accept help without feeling small or weak. Friends came to visit, some old, some new, all welcomed with care. They admired our bond, said it was rare, said it was inspiring. But for us, it was just life, two people choosing each other daily. Not because it was easy, but because it was right, it was true. We traveled, too. Small trips, short distances, but big memories. She loved the beach, even if wheels don't roll well on sand. I carried her every time laughing, while she called me her hero. But in truth, she was mine, the bravest soul I had ever known. Seasons changed, years passed, but love stayed, grew, bloomed. We celebrated small anniversaries, every month, every moment. Each day was a victory, a proof that love is more than just words. It is choice, it is action, it is showing up again and again. One winter, Claire got sick, nothing serious, just a stubborn flu. But it scared me, reminded me how fragile life can be, how quick. I sat by her side, holding her hand, whispering stories, singing softly. She smiled, weak but beautiful, saying, "You're still here, always here." That moment I realized love is not just staying, but being present, being there, fully, with heart, with mind, with soul, with patience, not just during happy times, but in every cough, every tear, every breath. Love is sitting quietly, even when there's nothing new to say. Claire recovered, stronger, braver, and we went on with life. She joined a support group, shared her journey, listened to others. I watched her with pride, amazed at how pain made her shine. She was a beacon, a guide, turning her scars into maps for others. We also faced moments of doubt, days of frustration, of tiredness. But every fight ended with a hug. Every tear dried with a kiss. We learned that being right is not important. Being kind is. And that love is not perfect, but it is forgiving, soft, and patient. One evening, during a quiet dinner, she asked me softly, "Ethan, do you ever miss the life we planned before the accident?" I looked at her, smiled, and said, "I don't miss what never was. I love what is, what we have, what we've built together right here." She cried then, happy tears, grateful, full of deep, quiet joy, and I held her hand tighter, knowing this was the life I wanted. Not a perfect life, but a shared one, filled with real love, real moments. A life where every scar tells a story, every smile is a victory. As years went by, we grew older, not just in age, but in heart. We celebrated every wrinkle, every gray hair as medals of life. Each day was a gift, each morning a chance to love deeper. And every night we whispered, "Thank you for staying, for choosing me." Love, I learned, is not fireworks, not grand gestures, not loud promises. It is making coffee every morning, holding hands without reason. It is showing up when it's hard, staying when it's easier to leave. It is choosing the same person every single day with a full heart. People often said, "Your story is beautiful, rare, like a movie." But for us, it was not a story, it was simply our life, our choice. We loved each other, not perfectly, but truly, deeply, completely. And that was enough, more than enough, to make life worth living. Years passed, faster than we noticed, but slower in our hearts. Every moment counted. Claire and I lived a life full of small joys, tiny victories, and quiet mornings. We did not travel far. We did not buy big houses, but we had something bigger. We had each other, we had time together, we had love that grew quietly every day. Some people asked, "Don't you wish for more? For an easier life? For less struggle?" But I always smiled and said, "More of what? I have what matters. I have her." Because happiness is not in noise, not in running after dreams that don't fit your soul. Happiness is waking up and seeing the one you love, breathing beside you, alive. We celebrated strange little things, like the day she learned to cook sitting down, or the first time she wheeled herself around the park without my help, smiling wide. Those days were better than any big event. They were ours. They were real victories. And every night we shared a quiet toast to life, to love, to us always. There were hard days, too, long nights of pain, moments of anger, of sadness, of fear, but never once did I wish to be somewhere else, with someone else, living another life. Because real love is not about perfection, it's about holding hands when it hurts most. It's about saying, "I'm here," not because you have to, but because you want to stay. Claire always said, "You deserve more, Ethan. You deserve a woman who can give you more." But she never understood. She was giving me everything, every single day, without knowing. She gave me courage. She gave me purpose. She gave me a reason to be a better man. She taught me that love is not receiving, but giving, without counting, without limits. We built a life, not with bricks and gold, but with patience, kindness, and small joys. Simple meals shared with laughter, old songs sung off-key, quiet evenings by the window. We watched sunsets like it was the first time, held each other in the silence of twilight. Because love lives in those moments, in the soft spaces between heartbeats and words. When friends visited, they saw a small house, simple furniture, modest life. But what they didn't see was the warmth, the invisible glow of shared memories. Our home was not built to impress. It was built to hold love, to keep it safe, warm. It was our little world where struggles became stories and pain became poetry. One spring afternoon, I took Claire to the garden, the one she loved as a girl. I pushed her wheelchair slowly under the old trees, listening to the birds sing. She smiled, eyes shining, and whispered, "This feels like a dream, a perfect one." I bent down, kissed her hand, and said, "No, love, this is real, because you're here." Life taught us that not all dreams come true, but sometimes better ones are born. Dreams of quiet mornings, of shared cups of tea, of holding hands in the dark. Dreams of facing life together, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Dreams of building a love so strong, even time can't take it away from us. Years rolled by, hair turned gray, hands grew softer, but hearts stayed young. We laughed at the same old jokes, cried at the same memories, smiled more often. Love, we learned, is not loud, not dramatic, but soft, steady, a heartbeat in the quiet. It is looking at the same face every day and falling in love all over again. One evening, Claire looked at me, serious, soft, full of questions, full of love. She said, "Ethan, when you look at me, do you see the same woman I used to be?" I smiled, touched her cheek gently, and said, "No, my love. I see more, much more. I see the woman who taught me to love without fear, to stay without doubts, forever." That night, we sat by the window, watched the stars, and spoke of everything. Nothing. We remembered the early days, the hard days, the sweet, quiet days we built together. We promised again, not in loud vows, but in soft touches, in gentle smiles, in shared silence. Because promises kept in silence are louder than words, deeper than any grand speech. The world outside kept changing. People came and went, but our little world stayed. It stayed because we chose it. Every morning, every night, in sickness, in health. It stayed because love is not given. It's built, it's protected, it's watered daily. And because no matter how small the world sees us, to each other, we were everything. Claire once told me, "I fear one day you'll regret choosing this life, this path, this me." But I looked into her eyes, full of depth, of life, of shared history, and said quietly, "How can I regret the only choice that ever made sense to my heart, to my soul?" You are not my burden, Claire. You are my blessing, my reason, my quiet miracle. We grew older, slower, but somehow lighter, freer, happier in simple things. A shared cup of coffee, a warm blanket, a good book, soft music in the background. We didn't need more, we didn't want more, because love had filled all the spaces. Spaces where once there was fear, now lived peace, gratitude, and quiet joy. In the end, it's not about how fast you run or how high you climb. It's about who sits beside you when you're tired, who stays when you're slow. It's about who holds your hand when the world turns its back, when life gets heavy. And Claire, my Claire, was always there, and so was I, forever, together, always. Time passed, softly, quietly, like a gentle river that never stops flowing. Claire and I grew older, but our hearts stayed young, always ready to love. We lived each day slowly, carefully, like reading a book you never want to finish. Because life with her was my favorite story, my favorite place, my home. One morning, as the sun rose, she held my hand, smiled, and said softly, "Ethan, thank you for staying, for loving me, for choosing me every day." Her words were simple, but they touched the deepest part of my soul. I kissed her hand, smiled back, and whispered, "I never wanted anything else." In that moment, I realized something clear, simple, but very important. Love is not about grand moments, not about perfect pictures or loud cheers. Love is about being there when no one else sees, when no one else stays. It's about showing up, holding on, never letting go, no matter how hard. Claire's health became fragile, her smile softer, but her spirit never broke. Every morning she greeted me with the same warmth, the same light. Even in pain, she laughed. Even in weakness, she cared, loved, gave hope. She was a warrior, not in armor, but in kindness, in quiet strength, in love. One evening she said, "When my time comes, don't be sad. Be proud, Ethan. Be proud that we lived, that we loved, that we stayed true to each other." Her voice was calm, her eyes full of peace, full of memories, full of us. And I held her hand tighter, because letting go was never part of my plan. In the last days, we didn't talk much, we just stayed close, heart to heart. No words were needed, because our silence was filled with years of love. Every look, every touch was a chapter, a story, a promise kept. And when the time came, she left gently, like a soft breeze, like a blessing. Now, I sit by our window, watch the sun rise and feel her in the light. I talk to her in my heart, tell her about my days, about my dreams. I miss her, yes, but I also feel her, in every corner, in every breath, because real love never dies. It stays, it lives, it grows, even after goodbye. People ask, "Do you regret staying, Ethan? Do you regret this life?" And I always smile softly and say, "How can I regret the greatest gift?" Claire was not my sacrifice. She was my choice, my love, my forever. She gave me a life of meaning, of depth, of beauty that never fades. So this is our story, simple, quiet, but stronger than time, than loss. A story of staying, of loving, of holding hands through every storm. And if I could choose again, I would choose her, every time, every life. Because real love is not found, it's built, and we built ours together.